this video, we are going to learn how to create an event management application without writing a single line of code in Google App Maker. Visit our website for the full tutorial write-up for this video. Let's get started. Go to appmaker.google.com to load AppMaker into your browser. From the menu, click New. Select Blank Application to create your first project. Once it's loaded, you can change the name of the application. We will be using a spreadsheet as the basis for our application. Back in our project, we will be using the spreadsheet to create our data model. Click Add on Data, select Google Cloud SQL as the model type, and name this model Event. We will import the fields from our Google Sheet. As you can see, it will read off the columns in the spreadsheet and turn them into fields. These are the fields for my model, and I'm going to double check to ensure the field types are correct. For example, date is properly picked up as date, and something like a number is properly also assigned as a number. Click Create to complete the process. Now that you have the data model created, we will also adjust the security setting. For simplicity, we will change the model permission to everyone, which means anyone who has access to the application will be able to view, create, manage, and delete records from this model. Next, we will create pages. We will use the new page that's created automatically in the project, and we will rename it to something more meaningful. Using the widget menu, I will drag a form onto the page. It will ask me to choose a data source, which will be the event data source I have just created. I will select Insert as the form type, as I want user to be able to create new events. And for form fields, I will uncheck ID but leave everything intact. As you can see, it generated a form with all the fields that were listed in the dialog that we saw earlier. Next page I'm going to create is the View Events page, which will let me view the list of events currently in the application. For this one, I will be using the Table widget, which shows my records in my data source in a table format. Again, choosing Event as my data source, I will choose what column I'd like to show in the table. To keep it simple, I will only choose 3 columns to display. And now you can see a table has been created with the 3 columns I have selected. Finally, I will create a page to allow user to edit the event. And this one I will again utilize the form widget. And this time I will choose Edit as the form type. Leaving everything intact, you can see it generates the form with all the fields in it. Now that I have 3 pages, I need a way for a user to be able to navigate between the 3 pages. On the View Events page, I'm going to add a button to allow users to go to the New Event page. I'll drag the button onto the screen. I will label it New Event. I'll also change the style to be a little more raised. And on the property editor, I'm going to utilize the onClick event. When you click on it, you'll see there's a number of preset action I can assign to the button, So I'm going to use the navigate to page, and I'm going to select new events. I also want user to be able to click on a row of the table and be able to see the edit event page for that row. To do that, ensure you have the row selected. You can see it from the blue box or from the top where it says row. And I'm going to use the same property, the on click under events, and I'm going to go navigate to page, edit event. Now on the new event page, I want to also add a button here to allow user to go back to view events. So I'll do the exact same thing I did on the other page, except this time in the on-click event, I will select view events. Finally, on the edit page, I want to do the same thing. I want to add a button called view events, and I want it to take the user back to the view event page. Now let's preview the application to see what we've built so far. You will be asked on your first preview to sign in and as well as authenticate your app to use the SQL services. Just click allow to proceed. This is preview mode. It is essentially a quick way for you to see the end result without having to actually publish your application. This is great for testing as it has a console that shows you errors if any shows up. As well, it has a little page navigator to let you switch between the pages you have created. So let's start by testing our application and see if it works. I'm going to create a new event. Once submitted, I'm going to view the events, and as you can see, it's saved properly. I have an event listed here, and by clicking on it, I can now edit the event. And since by default edits are saved automatically, when I go back to view events, you can see my changes has been reflected on the table. The last thing I'm going to do before I publish my application is to set the home page of the application. This is under App Settings, and it basically defines which page your user will see first when they visit your application. In my case, I want them to see the View Events page. And now I'm going to publish a new deployment. You have to give your deployment a name. Other than that, for the most part, you can leave everything as default. You'll be asked to authorize the deployment. Once the deployment is completed, you can see you now have a link. This is the link that you will send to your users to access your application. And there we go. This is the application that we have deployed. Now your users can come in and add their own event and be able to see it on the table and be able to edit it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe or follow us on Twitter to be notified of new and updated tutorials for app